Hi, I'm following along with Paul McWhorter's Raspberry Pi Pico W lessons, and I think we're on 56 or something like that. And he's teaching us about how to use the joystick and how to um, use math to figure out which way your joystick's pointing. And like on that lesson, he's on degrees and stuff like that. I had skipped ahead and he's can control Neopixel color with the joystick. So I have a feeling that he's probably thinking about, which way, where in the color wheel you have it. At least that's what I'm assuming. And I joysticks just don't interest me a whole lot. So at least the physical ones, they're limited in their range and everything, and I just don't find them a whole lot useful. So I've been following along, but not posting videos with that. But I was thinking that you know the color picker on the that you can find on a lot of applications on your computer. Sometimes, you know, that's almost like a virtual joystick that you can use. And I was wondering how easy it would be to set it up on um, uh, the Raspberry Pi Pico as a web application. And it turns out it's not too hard. I found this guy that, or this, I don't know, this open source project that is using this creating a color wheel in JavaScript, which is, you're going to have to use a little JavaScript to get started on it. But it's an API, so you can actually go out and you don't have to code all this stuff for this. You can just go out to his website and get uh, uh, the HTTP thing script, and you can just add it to your. Um, uh, this is all you have to add to your Pico W HTML, and what it'll do is whatever device you load that on, the device will go out and get all the information. It's not a giant file. We probably have room on our Pico to store it, but why do we have to store it when it's already available there? So that's kind of fun that we don't have to do all the work to get the color wheel the way it is. So anyhow, they walk you through how to do this, and it's a little bit of JavaScript that I'm not not fluent in JavaScript, but I can get my way through it. But it actually, I'll show you where you can, and actually they have this, so you can actually do it up here. So you see the border around your screen there. So you can change the border color by just clicking. And this is basically what we're going to do. And we're going to make it um, do neopixels. So, uh, so and you can also dim them down. Of course, our neopixels, they don't dim down quite like this, but it's kind of cool. You can get a white background. So anyhow, let's go to the Thani code, and I'll try to explain a little bit about how we do it, and I'll post my program on GitHub so that we can anybody wants to try it, they can do it. So uh, basically, it's a basic HTML page, and it's actually fairly short. I mean, we're adding this source in here for that big code to JavaScript code to draw the uh, color picker wheel and everything, and uh, really all you got to do, except down when you run this loads the script, and this will run your where you're getting a instance of your color wheel picker, and you're setting a couple variables in it and um, things like that. So you just getting the things that you need to set it up. And then when you do the picking on it, so uh, on input, so you can either do it so that if you hold your mouse down and scroll around the wheel, that it'll give you hundreds and hundreds of feedback of where you're at. But I want to do it where you lift your mouse, and that's where the input ends. And every time you click and lift your mouse, or drag it and lift your mouse, if you're dragging the little circle, then you'll get, that'll generate an event. And that's when we can do an HTTP request back to our Pico and send it. And the one way you can send it is a RGB string. Thought, okay, well, we can just parse out the part that we need. So you can kind of see that this down here, it's kind of small. I don't have this part of my program where it's big, but anyhow, you're getting your HTTP request back, and it has the get, and it's the RGB, which is what we're getting. And uh, you got your three colors here, and you look like that you got these weird numbers here, but they're actually spaces. When you get the spaces, you a space character. Unfortunately, they're returning the %20, which is the um, uh, numbers for a space character. So we're actually getting this %200 is actually ending up being a 0, and this 202 is a different number. But we can still work with that because Python is pretty good at taking apart uh, 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 strings that you get back, and you can do a lot of work with them. So this I've mentioned this back in the back. This is when you get your request is coming back. It's a blocking, so it's waiting for the request. So but we're only setting the color one time on each time we release the button, so we're not worried about the blocking this time. And so we're getting that request as a string, and that's this whole B thing all the way up to this area here, all the way up to there. So that's what we're getting with this request, and we're printing that out. And then we're splitting it because, like I say, we don't want this whole thing, so we're splitting it on a space. So uh, and we're looking for their zero index, so it makes a list of lists when you do this split. So we don't want the 0th element of that list. We want one element, and so it's going to return this. And as you can see, we got that, and that's what we're printing out here. We got this whole thing here that we're printing out. So that's what we're working with on that split. And then what we're doing next is if, because you can get other get returns back that are just not part of what we want to do. So we're going to look and see that if this string /RGB is in request, then we'll go ahead and split it out. If it's not, it's just going to ignore it and go on with itself. But if it is, then we want to take off the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters. So that's why we have this 5. We're removing the first 5 characters. And we are also, this -1 means we're removing 1 character from the other side. So what that removes is the closed in parentheses. So then you see down here, this is what your result is, because we're also printing out the color string. And we still have those two zeros in there, 20s that we have for the space that represents the space. And so instead of doing um, a split on a comma space, we have to do the split on the comma, percent sign, 2 and 0. So that's what we're going to split, and it's going to remove each one of those 20s out of there. So then and this actual thing here is just a quick way to use map to get it into a tuple. So we're turning it into ints, and we're taking the string stuff, we're splitting it here, we're turning it into ints, and then this mapping it to the tuple. So we are creating a tuple out of it. So we end up with this tuple down here, which is what our RGB needs to run. So it's kind of cool that it does that. And then all we're doing is we're using the fill thing to fill it with that tuple color, and then writing our pixels, and goes back up and waits for the next request, HTTP request that we have. So I have it running now, and as you can see, it's 94, and that's the R. So we got mostly red going, and you can see I have strung across my neck here that it's red. So it's actually, I have it on and it tells, let me see if I can go back far enough. Been playing for quite a while, you can see with this. But at the beginning, we should have had, my goodness, this was just a waste of time. Anyhow, when we do our Wi-Fi connection, I have my Wi-Fi connect in a different page, but I think a lot of you have seen that. Plus, it's also on my GitHub, how to connect. And then this serve is this function here. So my Wi-Fi connection, that's where it's got my password and everything in it, and we're hiding that. But you can do however you normally get connected to the internet. I think it's probably in my GitHub. I'll try to add that too in my GitHub, and cross out my password and everything when I do that. You can just put your own in if I remember it. But I'll definitely try to get that point to it in the description here of how to do that. But let's go ahead and see if we can bring up the web page. And so this is the web page that you get. And like I said, this 20 lines of code or whatever it is here um, uh, creates this color picker. And like I said, so we have it bright, all the way bright. But since we want to, one bad thing is it dims down the color picker when you know the colors in the color wheel. When you lower this down, it just trying to simulate what shades you got. That really doesn't equate to what we have in the Neopixel, because we have to because it's not a linear thing. A 112 in a red is still going to be pretty bright on a pixel. So it doesn't quite equate to what you would see on a screen or anything like that. But we can still, like I said, we got it dimmed down here. I'm gonna brighten it up a little bit, I think. And so we can get the yellow. Well, let's do the primary colors. That's mostly red. That doesn't look green. Let's get the green out of it. It looks very green here, but in the photo, it doesn't really look green. So it's green, and then blue. Now we can try the in-between colors. So we can do teal. And if you notice, when we're in blue, we got a single color. So we only have one pixel color. And you can see in this thing here that it's kind of dim. And this is the thing I was talking about with that you have to, our wheel function that from Adafruit actually takes care of this. but we're not using that here. So if we go to teal, now we're going to have, see how much brighter it got? Because now we have 2 pixels. The blue and the green are mostly on. So we have, it's brighter. And then when we go up to green, we're back down to just 1. So you can see it got dimmer. Now we'll go to yellow. And it's going to go pretty bright again because, again, we got 2 pixels at 100 instead of just 1. And then we'll go around the red. There's red. So anyhow, you got red, and then you can go up here. You can get an orangish color if you want. And if you move more to the middle, you're going to get closer to white. And unless this is all the way up, you're going to, the white and the black fight each other. So, but that's all the way white. But you got orange there. You can say we're overdriving the camera right now, but you can see we got yellow. You can get yellow, green, back over to green. But you can get any of the colors. Like I say, the middle ones, as you get closer to white, you can't really see it on the screen, but it's still got some blue in it, but it's blue white. And our magenta, this is definitely, that's almost like a pink. Or so the color I'm seeing is almost what the color on the color wheel looks like. It just doesn't show up very well on the camera. Same way with the orange. If this looks like an orange here, it doesn't really look orange in my thing. Let's move it up a little bit. Yeah, that's an orange. And if we bring the colors down, you might, not really. That's a yellow orange. Let's see. There you go. That's about where orange is on for the pixel color that we got. So, but like I say, it's cool that we can do it. So I call this my virtual joystick that we're using for this. And what is it, about 75 lines of code? Yeah, 73 lines of code. And it's kind of cool. Like I said, this goes out and gets that script that you can see. Um, let's see, I think he has that script. Let's go back to, let's see if I can get that script. So yeah, this is the script that makes the color wheel. So you can see that we would be adding all that code to our Pico W if we tried to store it locally. But luckily, we can go right out to this GitHub thing and they can pull it in. I'm still going down. Wow, that's a lot of code. That's more than I thought it was. That's a lot of code just to draw that color wheel, but guess that's what it takes to do it. It has a production. It says it's minified and optimized. I think this is the one I looked at before, and it's not too long. So I don't know what I guess he made all the lines. I don't know what the size of that file is, but anyhow, we don't have to bother getting it. We just tell the browser that we're using where to go get that. I've tried this on my phone and it actually works. Let me see if I can get my phone up here. You can see it on the phone, but it's a lot smaller. And but it works. Let's see if I can touch the green here. Red. There's a red. So I'm changing it with the phone now instead of with the other. There's a blue. So you can change it, but it's kind of a small thing. And that's probably, you could make that bigger. I know you can optimize your code for different types of app, whether you're on a computer or whether you're on a phone or whether you're on a tablet, that you can adjust it. But and they work at the same time because, like I said, we still have the one up here, and we can change that go to red, green, and go back to the phone. And well, we're green now, so we'll go back to red and change it on the phone that time. So, um, whichever the last one that sends a request in, like I said, the same HTTP stuff is on the phone. It's on that, and they're all sending it back to the Pico W to for to 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 handle the request that we've got. So, um, like I said, kind of cool that we're doing that. Anyhow, that's my video for today. My virtual joystick controlling the Neopixels. Like I said, not a big fan of the physical joystick for anything, on the Arduino world because it's so limited range. What do you got, like a 25-30 degree range on that thing, going side to side and each way. And I guess the Pico is converting that into um 65,000 numbers, and there's no way, even when Paul gets it down to 100, you couldn't choose. If I asked somebody to choose, oh, can you get a 50 on there, they would have a hard time trying to hold that joystick just right to get a 50. I mean, it can be done, but you know if to repeatability, if you're just using it fast, you're not going to get 50. So anyhow, don't like joysticks, but I kind of like that I can do a virtual color wheel picker on a virtual type joystick, and change my colors it will. All right, thanks. I'm going to leave it at that. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.